We're trying a little experiment here this afternoon. We're in the historic lumbering town of Cass, West Virginia. A lot of important things in the history of West Virginia occurred here with respect to the lumbering industry, and certainly with impacts on botany. And we're conducting a little interview here this afternoon for this 75th anniversary celebration of the Southern Appalachian Botanical Society. And featured, we have with us, we're going to pan over here now to our guest, Dr. Roy Clarkson, who is probably the single person who knows most about the early history of the Botanical Society. Dr. Clarkson was born right here in Cass, West Virginia, and was educated in West Virginia, Davis and Elkins College for a bachelor's degree, and then his master's and PhD at West Virginia University. And he became a faculty member at the biology department at WVU in 1956, and that was about 20 years after the organization of the Botanical Society, which was organized in 1936, an idea of Dr. Earl Core. Your dissertation work was on the flora of the Monongahela National Forest.
Yeah.
So was that kind of part and parcel of all the botanical work that was being done around the state, just another big unexplored piece of territory that needed investigated, or what?
Yeah. One of Dr. Core's main emphasis was on county floras.
Mm-hmm.
People working on their master's degrees
Mm-hmm.
would do county floras.
Uh-huh.
And I really don't know how many, but he had at least 25, I would say,
Wow.
counties studied
Uh-huh.
with people working on their masters.
Uh-huh.
These were people mostly in education.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then he suggested the flora of the Monongahela National Forest as my project.
Okay.
And he was my dissertation advisor.
I can't help but think about the very, very popular, I suppose we could say, botanical expeditions. Were you ever part of those botanical expeditions? What were they? They were started by Perry Strasbaugh back in 1926.
Yeah, and Dr. Core was, I guess, a student of his at the time and went on the botanic expeditions. Well, they spent 6 weeks in the summer going to various localities in the state, sleeping in tents. They would set up a tent and stay at a locality for a week and then move to another locality. Of course, they had a cook tent and a sleeping tent, a work tent, so it was a pretty big affair, and really gave a lot of impetus to botany in the state. And I'm sure that Dr. Core was inspired.
So the Botanical Society was functioning for some 20 years by the time you became a member of the staff there. Dr. Core was the person who conceived the idea. At some point, Betty Bartholomew came aboard and was a very, very important person in the maintenance of that organization and keeping it going. So, and at some point you came on and became a contributor and volunteered a lot of your time in various positions. Can you reflect a little bit on just sort of what the mood was around there? Or where did Castania fit in people's minds? What kinds of commitments did people have to it? How did it operate? Talk a little bit about your memories of the people, those key people, and the operations of the Southern Appalachian Botanical Club.
Well, as I mentioned, Dr. Core was chairman of the department for 17 or 18 years. And while he was chairman, interest in botany maintained itself pretty well. later years, though, as I say, the interest turned towards more molecular, and people, most people in the department really didn't have a very high opinion of Castagna.
Really?
For one thing, it wasn't peer-reviewed. As I remember, Dr. Core just accepted the articles as editor, and I suppose he read them, but he didn't send them out for review.
Huh.
And peer review became quite an important part of publications. And
so did they consider Castagna to be pretty much the publishing outlet for all these studies that were being done in West Virginia, or they actually saw it as a much bigger thing? Of course, it became a much bigger thing, but
no, by that time it was a much bigger thing.
Right.
But the emphasis with most people was just not towards floristic studies and the like, but towards other types of studies. Now, Dr. Core did have students who studied certain taxa in detail, did monographs on them, but the main emphasis was on floristics.
The issue of peer review is an interesting one. How long were you associate editor?
I don't know.
I could look it up, but it was a period of several years at least. And of course, Dr. Clovis, Jesse Clovis, eventually succeeded Core as the editor. And so I guess amongst you, the two or three of you, the articles probably got reviewed satisfactorily then.
Well, it satisfied us, but it wasn't very scientific according to a lot of people.
All right, we're continuing. Here we're talking about the people who were influential in the early history of SABS. Of course, I should be calling it SABC right now because in those days it was the Botanical Club. SABS is a recent thing. Roy, you were right there in that department that pretty apparently had a very, very strong taxonomic interest. I mean, all these people, there was Nellie Amons there, for example, other people, all with this sort of taxonomic, field botany, floristic, plant geography kind of orientation.
Very strong.
And I guess West Virginia was a sort of an unexplored area that just sort of all came together whenever the right people got to WVU, maybe starting with Perry Strasbaugh and then continuing on for the next 40 years. And of course the Flora of West Virginia was a pretty seminal publication and still extremely important publication. Well, those people, tell us a little bit about your memories of Betty, for starters. What role did she play? What kind of a person was she? What are some interesting stories you remember about Betty?
Betty was very interesting, very friendly, willing to do anything for anybody. She helped a lot of graduate students. Well, Dr. Core was the curator of the herbarium, but Betty ran the herbarium. She took in Clarksons and mounted them and did all the work that a herbarium person does. And I would say that she kept Castagna going more than any other person, except Dr. Core, of course, but she was secretary, I think, from the time the club started.
Until I took over.
until she retired. And back in those days, keeping track of members, addresses, so forth was a big job. Didn't have computers, of course, to help. Betty had an interesting machine. I can't think the name of it, but it would stamp names and addresses on metal plates that were about twice as big as an army dog tag.
I think I remember seeing that.
And real noisy machine. Then she could use these metal plates to address the magazine or envelopes. And that was a very cumbersome way to keep track of things. But she did a good job of it. And
didn't they save stockings and things like that?
Newspapers.
And
The fire marshal would come in now and then and look things over and tell her she had to get rid of that stuff. And she would say, stocks of newspapers won't burn. and just left everything. But she was a very nice person. And as I say, helpful to anyone who needed help.
Well, you got out in the field with her some, didn't you, once in a while?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What was she like as a field person?
Very good. She saw everything that was collected. She had one health, I would say hazard, one health, anyway, she had convulsions. And she would frequently have convulsions, even out in the field. But she
couldn't drive then, probably, could she?
No, she couldn't drive. But she would overcome that and be back herself the next day.
So she was dependent on others basically to get out and do those things.
Yeah, she had. I took her to some of the botanical meetings. Don't know which ones offhand, but she was a person that you wanted to help, and she wanted to help you.
Right. Totally committed to what she did, and didn't they call her Bouncing Betty or something like that sometime? Did I ever hear that?
I haven't heard
that one. No.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, she's such a cheerful person, bubbly person.
Yeah, amazing person, really, considering everything.
Yeah. All right. What about Dr. Core? You were Core's PhD student, probably his, what do you say, third or fourth student, possibly, something like that. And of course, he had a large number of students over the years, of master students and several doctoral students. What are your personal memories of Earl Core?
Dr. Core was a very unusual person. He was very friendly, but at the same time he was able to accomplish a great deal. In addition to being chairman of the biology department for 17 years or so, he was also mayor of Morgantown for a period of time. He was chairman of the Morgantown Library Commission and was instrumental in getting the public library at Morgantown. He wrote dozens of articles and pamphlets and books. Also to do all this work on Castania. So he was really an amazing person, I think.
He was influential in forming the Arboretum, I think, and Terra Alta Biological Station.
Yeah. And of course, he continued the field expeditions as long as they could, I guess. And so about all you can say for him. He was just an amazing person.
Amazing person, accomplished an awful lot, very productive person.
Very productive, yeah. I noticed one thing about his writing. He could write something by longhand, of course, back then. and never have to revise it. The first time through was the way it was. It was always good.
Wow.
Most people have to revise and revise and revise. At least a lot of us do. But he had that capacity to do it right the first time.
Yeah.
He was very casual, not only in the field, but in his other contacts too.
Yeah.
I remember one thing about him in the field. If a student would bring a plant to him, ask him what it is, he'd say, well, I think that might be so-and-so. He knew exactly what it was, but he was very non-committal about it.
Yeah, about that. All right, Roy, we've talked about lots of different things, and of course our focus is the club, the society that is, and the role that various people played in it, the role that you played in it. I suppose I haven't really asked you where you thought you fit into the organization, and how the folks at WVU felt about how the organization was growing, such that people from all over the Southeast eventually were getting involved. So when Core was looking for somebody to do something, he would go tap somebody's shoulder. He would say, "Hey Roy, I want you to do this," or be the treasurer, or be associate editor, or something like that. Or
yeah,
they weren't really looking outside the state for people.
I don't think so. And during all this time, Dr. Core was teaching a full load also. I didn't mention that.
Well, the Botanical Society is a lot different now than it was then. Could you have dreamed that it would be what it is now? What did you think of? I mean, it was just a group, I guess, that was, outlet for publication. Did you ever think that it would become such an important regional group with a regional publication?
It was a fairly important thing for this sort of studies when I came on board. And I always felt there were people interested in this sort of thing. And when the Federal Endangered Species Act was passed, that lent a lot of weight to this sort of thing. I think that helped a lot.
Would it be a fair question to ask you if you miss botany?
Yeah, I don't miss teaching, but I miss botany. I taught 41 years altogether, and I was ready to give that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss botany.
Yeah. That's kind of hard to not miss it, I guess, if you spent your life working at it.
Yeah, sure.
Any words of wisdom for young people, for the botanists of today? Where do you think we're going? What's the future of botany and the kind of stuff that we're interested in?
Well, I don't really know. I hope it has a good future. I think it's important, and people need to know where things are and what they are, and I think it'll always be important.
Well, Roy, we're really appreciative that you're willing to spend some time with us here this afternoon and talk about some things. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with? Any thoughts, notions, ideas? We're sitting here in this beautiful afternoon. The wind's blowing, the leaves are changing color. You can't help but just feel great out here.
No. Well, nothing except wish all of you good luck, and hope you live to have as good a retirement as some have.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you very much. Get on there.